Be me. Jessica, 32 years old. Wake up at 5:30 a.m., like always, because that's what successful people do. Check phone immediately, scanning through work emails before even getting out of bed. 3 messages from my boss about the product launch, 1 from client services, 2 from the analytics team. Feel that familiar rush of importance. Being needed, being essential. Stumble to bathroom. Look at myself in mirror while brushing teeth. Notice the lines forming around my eyes. Tell myself it's just stress. Totally normal for someone carrying an entire marketing department. Shower quickly, no time for anything luxurious. Got a 7 a.m. call with the West Coast team. Stand in front of closet, select the black blazer, the one that says, "Take me seriously." Pair it with tailored pants, low heels that are professional but allow me to move quickly between conference rooms. No time for breakfast. Grab a protein bar and my 3rd coffee of the morning. Apartment is kind of a disaster, but whatever, I'll deal with it this weekend. Probably won't deal with it this weekend. Dishes piled in sink from 3 days ago, laundry overflowing the hamper, takeout containers scattered across counter. Tell myself, this is what ambition looks like. This is the price of success. Successful people don't waste time on menial domestic labor. That's what I always said when Mark would hint about the mess. Mark. Haven't thought about him in weeks, maybe months. Well, that's not entirely true. Think about him sometimes late at night when the apartment feels too quiet. Dated for 5 years, broke up 8 months ago when he proposed. Actually, he proposed, and I laughed. I didn't mean to laugh, it just came out. He had this whole thing planned. Nice restaurant, got down on one knee. The works. I looked at him and just thought, now? Seriously? I'm up for senior director. He told him I wasn't ready. That marriage wasn't in my 5-year plan. That my career had to come first. He looked devastated. Said he'd been patient for 5 years. Wanted to start a family. I reminded him that I'd been clear from the beginning about my priorities. He said, people change, priorities shift. Thought maybe I'd want different things by now. I've got frustrated, told him he was trying to trap me in some 1950s fantasy. Said I wasn't going to sacrifice my professional trajectory to become some domestic servant. The conversation escalated, ended with me telling him we wanted different things. He moved out 2 weeks later. I felt relief, honestly. More space in the apartment, more mental bandwidth for work. No more questions about what's for dinner, or when I'd be home, or whether I wanted to spend weekend doing something together instead of catching up on work. Threw myself into the senior director campaign even harder. They didn't get the promotion, they gave it to Andrew, who's less qualified, but apparently fits the culture better. Whatever, I'll get it next cycle. Head to office, another day of back-to-back meetings. Leading the rebrand initiative for our biggest client, $60 million account, should feel excited, but mostly feel exhausted. Meetings blur together, everyone talking, but nobody listening. Lunch is another protein bar at my desk, while reviewing analytics reports. Colleague mentions she's leaving early for her kid's recital. Feel slight judgment creep in. That's why she'll never make VP. Not hungry enough. Too distracted by domestic obligations. Stay until 7 p.m., later than most people, but earlier than I'd like. The boss already left at 5. He has a wife who handles everything at home so he can maintain work-life balance. Notice he never seems stressed, always well-rested. Talks about his wife's cooking and their organized house. Feel brief flash of something. Not quite jealousy, more like irritation. Head home, stop at the Thai place on corner, get same pad. See, ew, I get 3 times a week. Eat it, standing at my kitchen counter, scrolling through phone. Open Instagram without thinking. Just mindless scrolling while chewing. See a post from Rachel, mutual friend from college. Photo of a wedding. Beautiful outdoor venue, string lights, sunset in background. Bride and groom kissing under an arch covered in flowers. Scroll to next photo. Freeze completely. Pad C, EU, noodle hanging from my mouth. It's Mark. Mark in a perfectly fitted tux, looking happier than I've ever seen him look. He's thinner, more athletic looking, his smile reaching his eyes in a way that seems unfamiliar. Scroll frantically through the album Rachel posted. Mark and some woman I don't recognize. She's younger, maybe late 20s, wearing a simple but elegant white dress. Long hair, bright smile, holding Mark's hand with obvious joy. Caption says, "So, happy for Mark and Sarah. Perfect couple. Perfect day. Feel my chest tighten, throat constrict. When did this happen? He only moved out 8 months ago." Scroll through more photos. See Sarah laughing, Mark looking at her like she hung the moon. One photo of them cutting cake, another of their first dance, another of Mark's family, clearly adoring Sarah. Fingers shaking slightly. Click on Sarah's profile. It's public. Scroll through it with growing disbelief. Photos of her and Mark, dating back to about 7 months ago. So he met her almost immediately after we broke up. Photos of them hiking, at farmers markets, cooking together in what must be their kitchen. Their kitchen looks immaculate, organized, actual fresh flowers on the counter. Sarah posts about making Mark's favorite pot roast and trying a new bread recipe. More photos of their apartment. It's clean, decorated, looks like an actual home instead of just a place to sleep between workdays. One post from Sarah about how blessed she is to be building a life with Mark. Mentions she works part-time from home, doing freelance graphic design, but mostly focuses on making our home a peaceful sanctuary. I feel nausea rising. This woman is poor. Everything I refuse to be. Scroll more. Can't stop myself, even though each image feels like a small cut. The photo of Sarah in Mark's kitchen, wearing an apron, surrounded by ingredients. A caption about meal planning for the week. The photo of their living room, perfectly organized, throw pillows arranged, no clutter. Mark commented on that one, "Coming home to this every day, never gets old." Photo of Sarah at some family gathering, Mark's mom hugging her, huge smile. Remember how Mark's mom barely tolerated me, how she'd make passive-aggressive comments about my work schedule. A photo of Mark at what looks like a work event. Sarah beside him in a cocktail dress, his arm around her waist. He looks successful, confident, different from the slightly defeated guy who moved out of my apartment. Notice, in one photo, he's wearing a watch I don't recognize, expensive looking. Another photo shows them at some charity gala, Mark's company name on a banner in background. Click back to Rachel's album. Read the comments. Mark deserves this happiness. Sarah is so sweet, perfect for him. Can't believe he found his soulmate so quickly after that last relationship. That last relationship. That's me. I'm that last relationship. Sit down on my couch, pad see ew, forgotten on counter. Apartment feels too quiet, too empty, too messy. Look around at my space. Really look at it. It's not the space of someone successful and driven. It's the space of someone barely surviving. Piles of papers, dirty coffee mugs, dust on surfaces, blinds, crooked, nothing on walls. Remember, Mark used to try to make it nice. Would buy plants, I'd forget to water, would suggest we cook together on weekends. I always said I was too tired, too busy, had too much work to catch up on. Told him cooking was a waste of time when we could just order delivery. Told him cleaning was something we could hire someone for, eventually when I made more money. Told him I wasn't going to perform domestic labor, just because society, but expected it from women. He'd say, it wasn't about society, it was about making a home together. But I'd roll my eyes. Feel tears starting. Push them back. I don't cry. Crying is for people who have time for emotions. But the tears come anyway, hot and angry. Grab phone again. Torture myself with more scrolling. Find Mark's profile. It's semi-private, but I can see some posts. His profile picture is him and Sarah, both genuinely smiling. My chest physically hurts. He see a public post from 2 months ago. Mark's company promoted him to regional director. Regional director? He'd been stuck at senior manager level for years when we were together. Comments congratulating him. Someone saying, "Marriage clearly agrees with you, man." Mark's response, "Having a partner who actually supports your goals changes everything." Feel anger flash through the sadness. I supported his goals. I just had my own goals too. Except, did I support his goals? Tried to remember the last year of our relationship. He'd come home excited about a potential promotion. I'd half listen while checking work email. He'd want to talk about his day. I'd be exhausted and irritable. He'd suggest we do something together on weekends. I'd tell him I had to work. He'd try to plan dates. I'd cancel because something came up at the office. He wanted to talk about future, about marriage and kids. I'd shut down the conversation. told him repeatedly that those things weren't priorities, that he was being conventional and boring, called him regressive once, when he suggested maybe we could take turns cooking instead of always getting delivery. Said he was trying to push gender roles on me when he asked if we could make the apartment more livable. He'd stopped trying eventually, just existed quietly in our space, going through motions. Thought that was fine, thought that was what modern relationships looked like. Two independent people sharing space but pursuing their own paths. Clearly Mark didn't think that was fine. Clearly Mark wanted something entirely different, and found it in Sarah. Sarah, who apparently spends her time making home-cooked meals and keeping their space beautiful. Sarah, who goes to Mark's work events and supports his career. Sarah, who seems genuinely happy to be building a traditional life. Feel disgust and envy tangled together, can't separate them. Part of me wants to judge Sarah, wants to see her as some regressive throwback. But looking at the photos, she seems genuinely content, Mark seems genuinely happy, happier than he ever looked with me. Try to remember Mark smiling at me, the way he smiles at Sarah in these photos. Can't remember it. Not once in 5 years. He was always slightly tense around me, always trying to anticipate my mood, always careful. I told myself that was respect. That was him, understanding my stress and importance. Maybe it was just him walking on eggshells around someone who never made space for him. Get up, pace around apartment, feeling trapped by my own thoughts. Look at myself in the mirror by the door. Still in work clothes, blazer rumpled now, hair frizzy from stress, face tired. When was the last time I looked happy, genuinely happy? When was the last time I felt happy? Work doesn't make me happy. It makes me stressed and important and needed, but not happy. This apartment doesn't make me happy. It's just a place to collapse between obligations. My life doesn't make me happy. It makes me productive. Remember the proposal, Mark on one knee, hope in his eyes. Remember laughing, actually laughing at him. Remember the hope dying, replaced by hurt. Then resignation. He said, I love you, Jess. I want to build a life with you. I said, I'm building my own life. I don't need someone else's vision imposed on me. He said, it wouldn't be imposed. It would be together, partnership. I said, partnership, where I sacrifice my career to play housewife? No thanks. He said, I never asked you to sacrifice your career. I just want you present in our relationship. I said, this is me present. This is what ambition looks like. Take it or leave it. He left it and found Sarah, who presumably is present, is available, is building something with him. Check Sarah's Instagram again, knowing I'm spiraling but unable to stop. Find a post from 3 weeks ago, photo of a pregnancy test. Positive. Caption. Our greatest adventure begins. Baby arriving spring 2024. Mark is going to be the best daddy. Comments full of congratulations. Mark's response full of heart emojis and excitement. Feel like I've been punched in the stomach. They're having a baby. Mark is having the family he always wanted, with someone else. Someone who wanted the same things. Someone who made space for those things. Sit back down, phone clutched in hand, feeling completely unmoored. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I was supposed to focus on career, become senior director, then VP, build empire. Mark was supposed to be there, waiting, or maybe I'd find someone later, have kids on my timeline, or maybe not have kids. That was my choice, my decision, my timeline. Except, Mark isn't waiting. Mark moved on immediately. Found exactly what he wanted. Built it fast. Looks happier than I've ever seen him. Is more successful than when we were together. Has everything he dreamed about while I have. What do I have exactly? A job that stresses me out where I got passed over for promotion. An apartment that looks like depression feels. No relationship. No prospects. No time for dating anyway. Friends, I never see, because I'm always working. Family, I visit once a year out of obligation. A closet full of professional clothes and a refrigerator full of condiments. This was supposed to be empowering. This was supposed to be my choice, my path, my success. So, why do I feel completely hollow? Try to rally, give myself a mental pep talk. I'm successful. I'm independent. I don't need a man. I don't need traditional structures. Sarah's life is regressive, limiting, stuck in the past. I'm living in the future, career-focused, self-sufficient. But the words feel empty, rehearsed, like something I learned to say rather than something I believe. Look at Sarah's photos again. Really look at her face. She looks peaceful, content, secure. Look at Mark's face in those photos. He looks the same way. Plus, proud, happy, settled. Try to remember the last time I felt peaceful. Can't remember it. I feel driven, stressed, important, needed, busy, exhausted, never peaceful. Check the time. Almost 9 p.m. Should probably do some work. Open laptop, stare at screen, can't focus. All I can see is Mark's smile in those wedding photos. All I can think about is Sarah greeting him at the door after work. Probably with actual food she cooked. Probably asking about his day and actually listening. Probably making him feel valued and appreciated instead of like an inconvenience. Remember the last few months with Mark, before the proposal. He'd come home and I'd barely look up from my laptop. He'd ask about my day and I'd give one-word answers. He'd suggest we spend time together and I'd say I was too busy. He'd try to kiss me and I'd turn my cheek, distracted by phone notifications. We'd go weeks without intimacy because I was too stressed. We'd sit in same room in complete silence, both on devices, no connection. Told myself that was modern love, comfortable silence, independent together. Maybe it was just neglect. Maybe I neglected someone who loved me because I was too focused on a career that doesn't even love me back. The company would replace me tomorrow if I quit. Mark replaced me in months. No, not replaced, upgraded. Found someone who wanted the same life he wanted. Someone who wasn't fighting against connection, against domesticity, against partnership. Feel anger rising again, directed at myself this time. I had 5 years with a good man who wanted to build something real. I treated it like an inconvenience, like an obligation, like something beneath my ambitions. Told myself I was too good for cooking and cleaning and traditional gender roles. But Sarah has a job too. Freelance graphic design. Works from home. She just also makes space for partnership, for homemaking, for building something beyond career. I made space for nothing, except work. Work that doesn't fulfill me, doesn't make me happy, doesn't give me peace. Just gives me stress and a paycheck and a title I didn't even get promoted to. Stand up, look around apartment again. It's pathetic, honestly. The space of someone who's given up on everything except productivity. Walk to kitchen, look at sink full of dishes, counter covered in takeout containers. Mark used to clean this. Used to try to keep our space nice. I'd come home and barely notice. Or I'd notice and feel vaguely annoyed that he'd moved my stuff. He told him once that his cleaning was passive-aggressive and trying to make me feel guilty. He said he just wanted to live. Somewhere pleasant. I said if it bothered him so much, he could clean it himself. So he did. Until he didn't. Until he moved out. Open refrigerator. See 3 takeout containers. Condiments. Week-old milk. Sarah's Instagram shows a refrigerator full of meal-prepped food. Fresh vegetables. Organized containers. She posted about it once. Some caption about enjoying the process of planning and preparing. I would have mocked that a year ago. Would have called it performing for the patriarchy. Now I just feel empty looking at my barren fridge. Close it. Lean against counter. Feel tears coming again. This time, don't push them back. Just let them fall. Cry alone in my messy kitchen. Mourning a relationship I didn't appreciate until it was gone. Mourning a man I took for granted until he found someone who didn't. Mourning a version of life I rejected without ever really considering it. Not saying I should have become a housewife. That wasn't the only option. But I could have met him halfway, could have made space for both career and relationship. Could have cooked together sometimes instead of always ordering delivery. Could have kept our space livable instead of treating it like a hotel between work shifts. Could have been present, available, interested in building something together. Instead, I built walls, built defenses, built arguments about why partnership was oppression. Told Mark he was conventional and boring for wanting marriage and family. Told him I was too evolved for such basic desires. Told myself I was superior for prioritizing career over everything else. But I'm not superior. I'm alone. alone in a messy apartment with a mediocre career and no prospects. While Mark is married, promoted, happy, having a baby. Everything I told him was antiquated and regressive, and he's thriving while I'm barely surviving. Phone buzzes, work email, something about tomorrow's meeting. Used to feel important when work emails came through, felt needed. Now, just feel tired. Ignore it, walk to bedroom, sit on unmade bed. Sheets haven't been changed in weeks. Laundry pile in corner. Nightstand covered in water glasses. Sarah probably has matching sheet sets and makes bed every morning. Probably does laundry regularly. Keeps bedroom peaceful and clean. Probably makes their bedroom a sanctuary instead of just a place to pass out from exhaustion. Lie back on messy bed. Stare at ceiling. Try to figure out where it all went wrong. Was it when I laughed at his proposal? Was it before that, years of slowly prioritizing work over him? Was it from the beginning, some fundamental incompatibility I refused to acknowledge? Or was it my own arrogance, my own certainty, that my way was the only evolved way? Remember, conversations with work friends over the years, all of us agreeing that men who wanted traditional things were threatened by successful women, agreeing that domestic labor was beneath us, agreeing that we didn't need partnership, we needed careers, agreeing that anyone who chose differently was betraying feminism. But Sarah seems happy. Mark seems happy. My work friends seem stressed, divorced, alone, or in struggling relationships. We bonded over our superiority, our evolution, our rejection of traditional structures. And we're all miserable. While women like Sarah, who we judged as regressive, seem content, maybe we got it wrong. Maybe there's no one right way, no superior choice. Maybe some people thrive in traditional structures, and some don't. Maybe I was so busy proving I didn't need those things that I never asked if I wanted them. Mark asked me once, year 3 of our relationship, what I actually wanted. Not what I didn't want, not what I was against, but what I actively wanted. I gave him some speech about career advancement and financial independence. He said, "Okay, but what do you want in your life, in your daily existence? What would make you happy?" I didn't have an answer. Still don't have an answer. All I know is what I have now, isn't it? Checking work email at midnight, isn't it? Eating takeout alone, isn't it? Living in squalor because cleaning is beneath me, isn't it? Having no one to talk to, no one to share with, no one who cares if I come home, isn't it? Mark has all of that now with Sarah. And I have nothing except principles that keep me warm at night. Except they don't. I'm cold and alone and regretful. Grab phone one more time. Look at wedding photos again. There's one of Mark and Sarah, looking at each other. Foreheads touching, eyes closed. Pure contentment on both their faces. Try to remember if Mark and I ever had a moment like that. I can't remember one. Our relationship was always me pulling away and him trying to get closer. Me saying, "Not now, I'm busy," and him eventually stopping asking. Me treating connection like an interruption to my important work. And now he has connection with someone who treats it like a priority. Someone who probably says yes instead of not now. Someone who makes space instead of excuses. Someone who builds toward him instead of away from him. Close Instagram. Can't look anymore. Turn off phone. Lie in dark room. Feeling weight of my choices. I chose this. Chose career over relationship. Chose work over partnership. Kept choosing it every day for 5 years. Mark gave me chance after chance to choose differently. To choose us. I chose me every single time. Thought that was strength, independence, empowerment. Maybe it was just selfishness. Maybe partnership requires actually partnering, not just coexisting. Maybe love requires tending, like Sarah's plants in those Instagram photos. I let ours die from neglect while tending my career instead, and my career didn't even promote me. While Mark's career flourished once he had actual support at home, he tried to say we could both succeed if we worked together. I said I didn't need his help, didn't need anyone. He said it wasn't about need. It was about want, about choosing to build together. I said, building together was code for me, sacrificing for him. But looking at his life now, Sarah isn't sacrificing. She's choosing, actively choosing to create that life. And benefiting from it, Mark's success is her success. Their home is their shared achievement. I have no shared achievements, just individual stress and loneliness. I wonder what Mark would say if he knew I saw the wedding photos. Probably nothing. Probably moved on completely. I'm probably that last relationship he mentions occasionally as what not to do. Probably tells Sarah how grateful he is that she wants the same things he wants. Probably tells her how much easier life is with someone who's actually present. Probably doesn't think about me at all anymore, while I'm lying in my mess alone, thinking about him constantly now. Ironic, spent 5 years barely thinking about him while we were together. Now that he's gone and happy, I can't stop. Classic. Want what you can't have. Except I. Could have had it for 5 years. Threw it away. Chose pride and career and independence over partnership and love and building something real. And Mark found someone who chose differently. Someone who chose him. Feel exhaustion settling in. The kind that comes from crying and realization. Should probably get up, wash face, change clothes, be productive. Instead, just lie here in the dark, in my mess, alone. This is what winning looks like, apparently. This is what having it all looks like. This is what choosing yourself looks like. Empty, cold, regretful, alone. While Mark is home with Sarah, probably in their clean, organized house. Probably eating something she cooked. Probably talking about their day, their baby, their future. Probably happy, genuinely happy. And I'm here, career-focused, independent, successful, and absolutely miserable. Wondering if I made the biggest mistake of my life. Knowing I made the biggest mistake of my life. And knowing there's no going back. Mark isn't coming back. He found better. Someone who wanted what he wanted. Someone who made space for him. Someone who said yes instead of not now. Someone who built toward instead of away. Someone who isn't me. And he's happier for it. Visibly, obviously, undeniably happier. Everything I refuse to provide, Sarah provides gladly. Everything I called oppression, Sarah calls partnership. Everything I rejected, Sarah embraced. And Mark chose her quickly, married her fast, building a family immediately, like he'd been waiting years to find someone who actually wanted the same life. But he had been waiting with me, hoping I'd change. I didn't change, told him I wouldn't, insisted my way was superior. So he left and found someone whose way aligned with his. And I'm here, alone, forced to confront that my superior way led to nothing. Nothing but takeout containers and work emails and regret. Close my eyes, try to sleep. No, I won't. Tomorrow will be another day of meetings and stress and pretending this is fulfillment. Another day of coming home to an empty apartment and cold food. Another day of choosing career over everything else because I already burned the bridge to anything else. Mark moved on, found happiness, building a life. And I'm stuck here. In the life I insisted was better. The life I chose. The life I defended. The life I was so certain was evolved and superior. The life I have to live with now. Alone. While Mark is with Sarah. Happy. He won. Outsmarted me by simply finding someone who wanted the same things. By choosing happiness over my version of success. By building a real life instead of just a career. And I lost. Lost him. Lost the chance. Lost years I can't get back. All because I was so certain I was right. So certain that my way was the only way. So certain that I was too good for traditional partnership. Turns out I wasn't too good for it. I just wasn't good at it. And Mark found someone who is. Someone better. Someone happier. Someone who isn't me. Lying here in the dark, in my mess, with my regret. This is what I chose. This is what I have. And Mark has everything else.